Stone, can we start?
All set.
Thank you, Stone. Before I open the hearing for the Barnstable Conservation Commission, I would like to ask Angela to do the roll call for the quorum purpose. George is not available tonight, so I have asked Angela to act for George tonight.
And away we go. Abadili.
Here.
Foster.
Here.
Hearn.
Present.
Lee.
Present.
Tangney, myself, present. Sampu.
Present.
Administrator Darcy Carley.
Present.
Staff member Kim Kavanaugh.
Present.
And Agent Ed Hoops.
Not present.
And
He's not on tonight.
Okay.
Thanks.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Acting under the provisions of Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, and or Chapter 237 of the Code of the Town of Barnstable, the Barnstable Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, May 14th, 2024, at 6:30 p.m. for the applications of Caroline and James Mahoney, Thomas F. Mars Parsees, Kenneth H. Miller, David M. Castle, Trustee David M. Castle, Living Revocable Trust, Town of Mashpee, Eugene and Margaret Curley, John and Diana Duffy, Susan Sankler, Sean Sweeney. The hearing is being recorded and broadcast on the Town of Barnstable's Government Access Channel. The plans and application are on file and may be reviewed by scheduling appointments by sending email requests to Darcy Curley at 230 South Street, Hyannis. This meeting is being recorded and broadcast on the Town of Barnstable's Government Access Channel. In accordance with the Mass General Law, Chapter 38, Section 20, please let the chair know if anyone is recording this meeting. Hearing none. This evening's hearing agenda is posted on the town's website. On the agenda, next to each application is the amount owed to the Town of Barnstable for the cost of advertisement. Please send your checks to the Conservation Division at 230 South Street before the hearing. Remote participations. The Conservation Commission's public hearing will be held by remote participation as a result of an act extending certain COVID-19 measures adopted during the state of emergency signed by the governor on March 29, 2023, suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law. Remote public access to this hearing shall be provided in the following manner. 1, the hearing will be televised via Xfinity Channel 8 or High Definition Channel 1072. It may also be accessed via the Town of Barnstable's Government Access Channel. 2, the real-time public comment can be addressed to the Conservation Commission utilizing Zoom link 872-0750-5667 or use the toll-free phone number 888-475-4499 as shown on the agenda. 3rd, the public can also email the comments to darcy.curley@town.barnstable.ma.us at least 8 hours prior to the hearing. For your information, under the NOIs tonight, the applicant for the Kenneth M. Miller has requested for a continuance without testimony to May 28th. And the applicant for John and Diana Duffley has requested for a continuance without testimony to June 4th. Tonight, we have one RDA, Carolyn and James Mahoney, propose addition to a single-family dwelling within a 100-foot floodplain at 54 Hawk Avenue, Hyannis, as shown on the Assessors Map 324, parcel 077. Dan?
Good evening. I'll share the screen. These are the short form filings, so I'll be brief. But this is a simple, small addition to the back of a home. The only resource area is the FEMA flood zone, land subject to coastal storm flowage. The ground around the house is around 8 and 9, goes up to 10 on one side. The flood zone is 12. The existing top of foundation is up around 12, so we'll match that here. It's a small addition in the back over some existing, mainly over some existing deck areas. That the building department will be sure that that fully complies with the code. There's a note, the flood resistant foundation designed by others will put smart vents so the waters can come in and come out. and pretty modest proposal, no sensitive receptors. I'd be glad to answer any questions if you have them.
Thank you, Dan. Question from the commissioner. Anyone? I didn't see any hand up. So it's pretty straightforward. Channel 18, any public comment on this?
Seeing none?
None. Could I have a motion to approve this project as a negative determination?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Abadili,
Aye.
Foster,
Aye.
Hearn,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
Tangney, I, Sampu.
Aye.
It's unanimous.
Thank you. Good luck, Dan.
Thank you.
We have 2, 4, 6, 8. We have 8 NOI tonight, but we have 2 continuance. The first one is for Mark Thomas F. Parsis. The applicant's engineer, Mark Burgess, is not available, so I'm going to take this out of order a little bit. I'll go to the second one. Kenneth M. Miller, constructions of 12-foot wide post sonotubes supported elevated open deck on south and west facades of existing dwelling at 1211 Creekview Beach Road, Centerville, as shown on the assessors map 026, parcel 054. The applicant has requested for a continuance without testimony to May 28th. Could I have a motion to continue these applications to May 28th without testimony?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Abadili,
Aye.
Foster,
Aye.
Hearn,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
Sampu,
Aye.
and Tangney, I. Unanimous.
Thank you. The next NOI is David M. Castle's trustee, David M. Castle Living Revocable Trust. Construct new 3-bedrooms dwelling within the 100-foot buffer zone to bordering vegetated wetland at 589 Whistleberry Drive, Marston Mill, as shown on the assessors map 061, parcel 050. Darren?
Good evening, Darren Meyer here. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Darren Meyer here representing the owner, David Casso, properties in a living trust. The proposal is at the property of 589 Whistleberry Drive in Marston's Mills. The property consists of about 44,000 square feet. About 33,000 square feet of that is upland, with about 10,000 square feet of wetland area to the north, top half of the property, or top third of the property. What we have here is the proposal for the dwelling to be constructed within the buffer zone of the bordering vegetated wetland. The owner has decided that he'd like to modify the footprint of the building, so I can give you testimony on site conditions and what we're going to propose, but the change is to slightly move it to the right and actually a little bit towards the wetland to the north. I'm happy to show you a rough idea of what he's proposing. Let me see if I can. So the proposal on the plan is the orange outline. His green outline is roughly what he'd like to do. So it does get a little bit closer to the wetland line, and the work limit line would have to expand out a little bit to accommodate the work around the deck area. He laid out the existing house as I had it proposed and felt as though it's situated more nicely on the lot with the layout as he has shown it, or we have shown it in the green. It actually is a little less destructive to some of the plantings and whatnot and vegetation in there, but that's what he'd like to do. So I'm happy to continue with testimony if you want to hear it. If we need to continue with a revised site plan, I can do that as well. But I can go back to the original proposed plan and I can show you some of the site conditions that won't change. The driveway comes off of Whistleberry. That'll be a pervious material. Stone or shell is what he'd like to do. He wants to keep most of the landscape natural. He's got a little bit of proposed grass area in front of the house and down on the lower area. All that is outside the 100-foot buffer zone. Septic system is a conventional Title V system. It is over 130 feet away from the wetland area. And the reserve area is outside the 100-foot to the buffer zone as well. We've got a couple of proposed retaining walls here. I know Darcy would like some elevation shown on the plan of the height of the wall. It's going to match top of foundation and taper down to the grade that is shown. You just did that so that we could have some leveled areas as well as a lower area for a walkout portion of the house. He's got a proposed shed over here, outside the 100-foot buffer zone. So basically probably about half the house is within the buffer zone along with the deck. And again, I'm happy to answer any questions. If we need to continue this to present a new site plan, I'm happy to do that. Really, whatever the board decides.
Well, let me get some comments from the commissioner. But
Sure.
my initial thinking is that whichever way that we are doing, we still need a revised engineering plan to show the final location of the building, as well as dimensions that you're missing on the drawing. And with the new layout, your retaining wall is going to shifting. I think. So that's just my brief comment for now. And let me go to Pete.
Yeah, Tom, I sort of agree with you. Lacking a updated engineering plan, I have a hard time following the verbal suggestions or descriptions. So I, for one, really can't vote on something that I don't have a certified plan for. So that's my 2 cents. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you, Pete. Bill?
Well, my 2 cents is that the fact that they're leaving the 0 to 50 completely intact, I'm assuming there's no, it's just totally undeveloped there, makes it, I think, permittable. It's hard to, argue against permitting it. Granted, there are details, and having a good plan is a good, is appropriate. But I guess I'm concerned about the fact that this is a totally, undeveloped lot. We're putting in a new house, and I guess I'm concerned about the potential to completely build out the 50 to 100 buffer. And so I guess my question is there a plan right now for a lawn or something, and where might that be going?
I don't have an exact square footage of lawn area. I'm happy to, on the revised site plan, green up an area of square footage. But to my understanding, there'll be some lawn area out in the front yard of the house and down on the side of the house. But I can tell you right now, none of that lawn area will be within the 100-foot buffer zone. None.
That is good. Thank you. That's good.
And there is a bit, I don't know if you can see my cursor moving.
Yes.
Right in this area, there is a depression, a low area that actually, any of the grading that's done will direct most of the water into this area. So there won't be generally a lot of runoff directed down towards the wetland area. And we've got dry wells in place for rear gutter lines and downspouts, so that really there's no impact on runoff towards the wetland. But as far as the landscaping goes, anything inside the 100, other than this retaining wall, is pretty much going to remain natural once it's restored, after construction. It will not be improved upon other than the deck and that retaining wall.
That sounds great.
Thank you, Darren. Luis?
There is a fence and a wash station on the property along the eastern property line that isn't shown on your drawing. And
Yep.
it needs to be. And the other thing is that standing there looking toward the north, there's a lot of activity. Now, it may be temporary, once everything is said and done and the house is up and so forth, maybe that goes away, but maybe it doesn't either. I mean, there was a vehicle back there and a fairly large tent and other stuff. So, given that, well, first of all, I'm not sure where all of that activity was located relative to the buffer boundaries. But it could be that you don't have an undisturbed 50-foot buffer, given the fence.
The
And
100-foot buffer line was staked out. All of the activity currently is down where this proposed shed is. It's all in this area here. That line is staked. He is not encroached on that 100-foot line and has no intention to do so. The only encroachment over the 100-foot buffer zone line would be, half of the proposed house, deck, and retaining wall. Anything else is all on the southerly side of that property outside the 100-foot buffer zone. So, again, if you want me to show this area of activity along with the rinse station, we can do that. But his intention is once he's in the house, that little staging area will be toned down to the point where it's just a shed and a little bit of work area to the south of the shed there.
let's see, it may be my perception is incorrect. But standing there, it looked to me as if it was, there was a truck and a fairly substantial tent that was much more toward the wetland, not where the shed is that you're talking about.
It might be the orientation of the lot, but it is, if you come in the property and follow this property line, it is down where this reserve and shed are. It's all down in this corner here. Again, I'm happy to show it, but it is going to be drastically reduced once the house is constructed. But I can show a perimeter of the area of activity because this pathway is actually to the north of the area of activity, and that's still even outside the mouth of the pathway is outside that 100-foot buffer zone. I'm happy to.
Where is the fence in the rinse station?
Probably along the property line, just on our side of that, but I don't have it shown, so I'll have to show that.
Right.
But it runs along the property line for the most part, within probably 2 or 3 feet off this property line, maybe 5.
Okay.
But right along the southerly property line.
Yeah, because that is permanent, right?
I would say that section is, yeah.
Yeah, right. Okay, thank you.
Sure.
John?
A couple of add-ons to Peter's and Louise's comments. I think Sean the owner indicated to me, Louise, that where the tent is now is in fact the approximate area of where that shed is, as we see on the plan. Okay. So I was off too. I was way off of the orientation of it until I walked out and John helped me walk through it. But I think from a legal point of view, there is so much that we've talked about. I strongly agree with Peter, Tom, that we should not vote on this, but continue it subject to receipt of that revised plan and then look at that. So we have a revised plan that we all see. And included in that revised plan, we clearly be the landscaping, what's going to happen to the property, the lawn, is it going to be lawn or maintained or whatever, some notations to that effect. It would be helpful to have on there that those existing structures will be removed and replaced with the shed, et cetera. So I think that a continuance is really necessary here.
Thank you, John. Because I think we're still waiting for the DEP numbers. So, we should have a continuance while we're waiting for the DEP numbers so that Darren has a chance to submit his revised plan in the continuance so that you have a chance to look at what is the revised plan and then vote for that. How does that sound?
That sounds fine with me. I'm going to follow up on that DEP number too. Everything was sent in, paid. The check has been cashed. I don't know why it hasn't been issued yet. But let me.
It's just the timing. I mean, we always have some DEP number not issuing at the time of the hearing.
Yeah, I understand. But I'm happy to make those revisions and get that submitted. So a continuance would be fine.
Excuse me, Tom.
Yeah, Darcy, I was
Sorry,
going
yes.
to go to you next.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, just I would like to also add to what everybody's talking about, clarification on the landscaping. Just want to caution that, one person's talking about lawn, but in the future, if this property sells, the commission we should have a special condition. It makes it clear that even though one person might be saying there isn't going to be lawn in the back, that doesn't mean that they go and they start, doing some work on the understory. So if we're not going to do a demarcation fencing, then we're going to have a special condition that beyond a certain point, there won't be any disturbance to the understory, not just clarifying at lawn.
Well, why wouldn't we have demarcation?
Because that isn't well, I did bring it up to Darren about that I had recommended on a plan revision to come in that usually with a virgin lot, we would have demarcation at the 50-foot buffer, and that he could either do that or Ed Hoops actually went out to the site and he said it might be a little difficult to put the demarcation at the 50, but if Darren wanted to move it up to the where the work limit line. So at first I was looking for some kind of demarcation. It sounds like he would rather offer just the landscaping notes. I think it's a good idea to show exactly what's going to be lawn and really have either a special condition that is very clear that beyond a certain point there won't be any disturbance to the understory.
I think if the revised plan came in with those notations on it and we approved
Yes.
that plan, wouldn't that cover your concerns?
That's fine. Yep. I just wanted
Okay.
to not just have it just clarified what's lawn, but also
Right.
somebody could think of something being a rough area, not a lawn, and they take like a gravely in and this, as we say, the order of conditions goes with the property. So
Right.
somebody else going into the house or selling it down the road wouldn't really understand what's going on. So
with that, Darren, by the time you adjusting your configuration of your new house or your revised house locations, you may want to adjusting your work limit line and see whether you want to do either the demarcations or some kind of a description, so you know that you are not going to do any more in terms of the lawn area for that. So think about that when you prepare your revised drawing.
Yeah, I'll consult with the owner on how he wants to approach that. And if we do the line of demarcation, I'll note it, or I'll note landscaping details and areas of disturbance.
Okay. Channel 18, any public comment on this one?
Seeing none.
None? Darren, what is the continuance date that would be good for you? I have either May 28th or June 4th.
How much time would I need when would I need to get the revised plan in by to be suitable for the 28th?
If the commission wants to see hard copies, we would have to have it in at least the Thursday. Well, that would be this Thursday. Actually, no, wait a minute. We have two weeks before. It would be we'd have to have it the Thursday before the hearing.
23rd.
Yeah. If the commission really wants to see hard copies. Otherwise, if they're okay with getting the PDF and viewing it, then it doesn't really matter. I mean, they need a couple of days, but.
I feel like would prefer the hard copy, Darcy.
Okay, so
much easier
we need it
to
before
see.
before the 23rd.
That's doable. Unless we run into an issue, I don't see an issue that would prohibit us from having that revised plan by next Thursday.
Okay.
Okay.
So to the 28th would be preferable.
Okay. Could I have a motion to continue these applications to May 28th?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Abadili,
Aye.
Foster,
Aye.
Hearn,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
Tangny, aye. Sampu,
Aye.
that's unanimous.
Thank you. Good luck, Darren.
Thank you.
The next NOI is Town of Mashpee proposed maintenance dredgings at the existing approach, inner, and 1916 channels within Popponesset Bay that extend into Barnstable. Paul?
Yep. Hey, this is Paul Mancuso from BSC Group. I'm here to present the proposed project for maintenance dredging within Popponesset Bay on behalf of the town of Mashpee. I will go ahead and share my screen. You can see my screen?
Yes.
All right, so just a quick, here's the locus map showing where we're working. This dashed line is the town line between Mashpee and Barnstable. These red highlighted areas are the portions of the channels that within the town of Barnstable. So here's our plan set. Again, we're zooming in over here into Popponesset Bay where the work is. This is Popponesset Spit. So the three channels we are looking at, these have all been previously permitted. The Mashpee sections are covered under an existing 10-year comprehensive permit for all of their dredging. However, the portions within Barnstable, I believe the permit expired sometime within the last year and we failed to renew it. So now we are filing a new notice to permit these sections again. So this is down here, this is the approach channel. A majority of it's within Mashpee, but this section is within the town of Barnstable. And so they're just proposing maintenance dredging here. In total, within Mashpee, there is 18,369 square feet within this portion of the channel. And they're proposing to dredge 978 cubic yards annually. But based on current needs, there is no need for dredging right now. So this is just in case the channel fills in, that's how much they will be proposing to dredge out to match the previously permitted profiles, but currently there is no dredging need. Moving over here, this is the inner channel of Popponesset Bay. Within the town of Barnstable, there is 11,187 square feet of this channel, and we are proposing to dredge 676 cubic yards annually. But again, based on current needs, no dredging is proposed. The depths within the channel already exceed what the proposed channel depths are. So no dredging is needed there, actually at any of the channels currently, but this is just to get the permit in case the channels fill in to dredge them. And this is the 1916 channel, which majority of this channel is located within the town of Barnstable, approximately 55,042 square feet. And we're proposing to dredge 6,259 cubic yards annually. But again, based on current needs, the next two sheets of our plan set show the channel profiles right here and the existing bottom. So right now they don't need to dredge any of the channels because the existing bottom is already lower than the proposed channel depths. But so yeah, that's what we're showing. All of the dredge material will be, it's going to be hydraulically dredged and the material will be pumped to the town of Mashpee beaches. No material is proposed to be brought into the town of Barnstable. So there'll be no dewatering or disposal of sediment in Barnstable. It will all take place in Mashpee. The material itself is over 90% sand. It's very clean material. But yeah, currently no sediment is needed to be dredged. So I guess at this point, if the commission has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. One other thing I did want to mention, we have been in contact with the Natural Heritage Program. They had a couple questions and we'll be getting back to them tomorrow. We were just discussing it with them today. So we have obviously not heard back from them and there's no DEP number. So we will be continuing, but we wanted to get the project in front of you guys in case you guys had any questions or concerns or we needed to make any revisions. But so yeah, if you guys have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Paul. John?
Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Darcy, I assume this would, if we approve this, it would be with the standard monitoring a report afterwards for dredge depths, et cetera, et cetera. Is that correct, Darcy?
Yes, the bathymetric study coming in. And I talked with Tom. We probably want to hear from Division of Marine Fisheries for any time of year restrictions for the fish. So.
Sounds good to me. Thank you.
Any other question from the commissioner? Just like Darcy said, I'd rather wait until the DMF has the comment, and then we can including the time of the year restrictions on the approval as the conditions. And then I can draft up the conditions for you guys to take a look for next hearing. Paul, is May 28th good for you?
Yeah, I think that should be fine. The questions Natural Heritage had were pretty straightforward, so there should be no problem getting back from them. So yeah, that's good with me.
Okay. Channel 18, any public comment on this?
Seeing none.
None. Could I have a motion to continue these applications to May 28th?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Abadili,
Aye.
Foster,
Aye.
Hearn,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
Tang, aye. Sampu.
Aye.
It's unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. The next NOI is Eugene and Margaret Curley to raise and replace existing single-family dwelling at 18 Sailaway, Centerville, as shown on the Assessors Map 230, parcel 095. Dan?
Good evening again, Chairman. Dan Ojala, I'm a surveyor and civil engineer with Down Cape Engineering in Yarmouthport, and helping out Margaret and Eugene Curley with their home at 18 Sailaway. I'll pull up the screen to share their site plan. So this is the site plan. You can see from the locus map that we're on Wequacket Lake on the south side, pretty near where the outlet is, north of Finney's Lane. Wequacket Lake is a great pond. You guys helped us out a couple of years back with a seasonal dock that's permitted on the property. The property you can see from the photographs is dated. It's like an older look, like a lake cabin and a barn. They're painted red, and in need of replacement. They're a little bit long in the tooth, and so what we're doing is basically replacing it in the same footprint as what's there, with some modest exceptions. You can see we're kind of squaring off where the deck is now, with a little bit bigger footprint. We can't slide this any further to the south because you can see we've got the tank. We got a 10-foot setback, 20 to the leaching, until the sewer runs up here in a few years. That would give us a little bit more options there, but we meet the setbacks. You can see there's a 50-foot buffer here. I think the closest point is 70 feet away, which is generally acceptable under your regulations. Hardscape is a lot of times what you'll focus on this, and any issues on the site. So existing hardscape you can see is within the 50 0, and it's to remain 0. So that's always good to look at. From 50 to 100 existing, we've got about 330 square foot of house and 239 square foot of deck. We're reducing a little on the deck to 210 and going up a bit on the house to 852 for a total of 1062. So it's a 487 square foot increase between the 50 and the 100. And the way you folks like to do that is to mitigate that with a ratio of 3. Luckily on this site, there's it's not manicured lawn. I would say these guys are pretty green. It's like a Cape Cod lawn, very environmentally friendly, but nonetheless a lawn. So we're pulling up a factor of 3. So it's 1,460 square foot required, and we've got 1,560 provided. And so we're putting in a flowering dogwood, some mountain laurel, bunch of high bush blueberry, northern spice bush, northern arrowwood, and pasture rose, and some sweet fern to infill this area over here on the left. It's a good multiple of it. I'll pull up just a couple of pictures because sometimes pictures are a nice way to look at the site. There are a couple of trees here, and here you can see that are going to be in the way of the building. So we're going to nick those two because they could fall on the building. But you can see the kind of the older camp style, and I'm a tall guy, so those low ceilings give me heebie-jeebies. But I'm sure the new one will be built up with a modern high ceiling and a little bit more modern construction. Here's the site, though. I wanted to point out it's not a manicured lawn. This isn't irrigated. There's a lot of shade on the lot. There's a little portable fire pit in this area here. That was requested be shown on the plan, but it is literally, you could pick it up with two people and move it anywhere. So I don't. We can show that if needed. But this area over here is utilized. You can see where the boat is. That's where the mitigation is going to go on the left here. So it's going to infill that area. But we would like to, and you can look on the right. It's a pretty natural site. You can see they haven't torn down any bushes down there. It's here's out on the dock looking back. So there was a comment from staff that perhaps we could move some of the mitigation into this area, but it's there's a nice little turtle gardenish natural beach here. There's bushes growing out of it. You can see it's except for that little bit of kind of natural sand. It's a very native environment. They've left the bushes there. They're living well with nature, but that's their high use area. And it's a lakefront home, and compared to many of the other ones on the lake, this is a real natural feel. What we will be doing is taking this whole lawn over here area that's pretty low, moving the boat and infilling all that area with native shrubs at the required factor. So all in around here and to the right will be completely infilled. And what our thinking on that was, and we did meet the owner on the site and talk about, is there's a pretty good natural buffer here already, and we're going to be extending that and giving a little bit of habitat. So we thought that was a pretty good placement on this. And then that would allow, and yes, there's some natural, soap bush or whatever that is, but there's a good amount of recreational area that's still natural that we wouldn't have to avoid. Occasionally walk up and sit in the swing, very low key. So that would be the presentation. Again, it's a big multiple of grandfathered lawn that's coming up and being completely revegetated. It's proposed to be noted with a fence or boulders demarcated along the edge there. We'll have the owner choose from your bulletin on which type of demarcation. The septic's going to remain, the garage is going to remain. Those are outside of your jurisdiction, but a little bit of incursion, we're multiplying by 3 and giving all that mitigation back. It's a very natural, and we're happy to live with any, condition that there be absolutely no sprinklers or fertilizer put on this natural area up here, but would love to retain that. Be glad to answer any questions that you have. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. John?
Thank you, Tom. Dan, I was out there this afternoon. A couple of things. First of all, if they want to keep that little movable fire pit, you sure should show it on the plan. Secondly, I didn't see the work limit line on this plan. Maybe I just missed it, but I did see some stakes saying work limit line, and they were way, way down. So I'd like to see a work limit line that's right up close to where you need it around the house. I think that's very important there. And the third point I'd make is, in all due respect, you said 2 things that bother me. One is that you got a pretty nice buffer on that left side of the property line right now, and you're just going to add more to it. And I absolutely agree with staff or whoever said it that much of that mitigation should be on the other side, which is wide open. Your pictures show that. So I have trouble just where the mitigation, not the amount of mitigation, but where it is placed. I think there should be some put as you're facing it to the right side of the dock. It's important in terms of the environmental impact of that on the lake. So that's where I'm coming from, Dan.
Thank you, John. Bill, I saw your hand up, and then
I have to admit I did not go to the site, and I was listening to John, and I was thinking that the mitigation that they were doing was fine, but he just indicated that the area where they're planting already has substantial vegetation. So I lowered my hand. I'm not sure what to think. The only other point I had is the mitigation area would be delineated with a fence or stone or something. Is that right?
Yes, absolutely. Would put either post or boulders. That's noted on the plan. But to be clear, there's a canopy almost everywhere on this site. But this whole grass area, all the way over to that tree, over to this, that's complete lawn that would be given back to nature and revegetated.
Well,
So
okay, if I could,
somewhat equal across the site. But
But if you look at that, Bill, if I can jump in, because I'm sorry, I think it would have been helpful to walk the property, but if you look at it, much of that area right now is heavily buffered. You can see that. And I think to put more buffer there is not as effective as putting it, so look at the dock, look to the left of the dock as we're looking at it now. I think you need some mitigation in that area, far more important than where some of it is being offered. That's just my view.
it kind of looks, when I look at this, John, I mean, just look, left of the dock looks as vegetated as the right.
It is, except that both areas need vegetation put in.
Right.
And rather than put it along that west side where you can see all those bushes there on the right-hand side, some of that should be put along the left side of the dock, as well as the right side. So some of the mitigation he's offering now, I think, is well placed, Dan. But I think a lot of that mitigation is not nearly as effective as where I think it would be if relocated to the other side. Just my view.
Yeah, it's a fair point. It is though. We did carefully show the tree line here. There's a pretty healthy buffer on the east side, but it looked to us like infilling, because of what's on the neighbor's land, especially, that infilling on the left or the west side would be more of a benefit, and that would come right off the water and create just a nice little natural chunk there. But to your point, if we want to take 20% of this and put it along the east side, I think the owners would be okay with that.
And I'll also go back again. Was there a work limit line that I just not see on those plans?
So here's I don't know how well you can see the screen, but there's we always put it very dark, so it's state silt work limit line here. It's going chunk, 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 just like, so it follows the 50.
Okay.
So a 50-foot buffer.
Follow the 50 with the cross.
Yeah, so we're giving ourselves, a little bit of room, about 20 feet to build the house. We could tighten it up a little bit, but being that it's just lawn now and we do have to build a house, would hopefully be able to keep it pretty close to where we've got it now. But
yeah, when I walk the property, if you look at that far point next to the tree, it's way off from the house, and I just thought a tighter work limit line would probably be a little bit safer, that there wasn't an invasion beyond that.
Fair enough. Okay, we can tighten that up a bit.
Thank you.
Louise?
I did walk the property. I was there, and I'm a member of the camp that says we want to have more mitigation along the water line. And you mentioned 20%. I'm not sure that's the right number. It might be that we want more than 20% to really even that out. So I guess I would leave it to you to come up with a proposal and make sure that Darcy feels comfortable with it. Because I think that we want to have it spread out more evenly along the water line. Thank you.
Thank you, Louise. Thank you, Louise. Angela?
Yeah, I just wanted to say I'm in 100% agreement with John and Louise. So I won't repeat it, but I agree. I walked the property and I agree with them as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Angela. Pete?
I'd like to just make the comment that compared to many other houses on Macquacket, this is environmentally in a fairly positive view, in my point. It's got a great canopy. It's not a visual impact for the public out on the water. And I think that, yes, I'm fine with just 20% over there, in part as a reward for having both a modest house and a very well maintained, oh no, I'm sorry, a good habitat. It's not a well maintained lawn. I think there should be a little bit of reward for the condition of the property as is it now. It's pretty good. And I wish more houses were like this. Thank you.
Thank you, Pete.
Appreciate that.
Darcy, do you have a chance to look at the planting types and the size of the proposed planting? Do you have any comment?
I think I was a little concerned about the 1 and the 2s, the sizes. I think those could have been beefed up some more, but I'm hearing kind of different thoughts about, you know, if you're going to leave this up to me to view what Dan is going to hand back, maybe you need to have this come back as a continuance if we're not going to know whether it's 20% or 30%. And I don't know why some of it can't go where those chairs are.
Well,
They have the swing, but there's a couple of chairs down near the water, and that's grass under that. Dan showed a picture.
Yeah, you know, but again,
There is places to plant, and this is always the way the commission is. It should be spread out along parallel to the water. So,
yeah, but I mean, just as a counterpoint though, don't we allow beaches if they already exist? You know,
you already have a sandy area down there, and then you have the chairs up on the lawn. We're not talking about the beach area.
Right.
So you know, what I would be just concerned with is that, you know, this is a waterfront property and they have a, you know, precious little area where they like to congregate, and to infill that with bushes, it would just be very, you know, very tough on them. Versus other people that have sweeping lawns and huge beaches, and, you know, maybe they're doing a little something here or there. But yeah, so if we move some over to the side there, I think that will equalize the widths a little bit on either side. But I think it's important for, you know, if possible, to be able to retain some of their, you know, use of the waterfront, because they do tread very lightly and they enjoy it. You can see it looks like a state park there, you know, in terms of, you know, just native, you know, so why punish them? They're leaving bushes in there. It's not, you know, it's a very native and natural thing. So if we line some more on that side over there, you know, where the canoe is and the chairs, maybe we could nudge that over a little bit. But boy, more than that would seem to me a little bit heavy-handed. But that would be my hope, to leave a workable area for them near the end of the dock.
John?
Yeah, I would very strongly and respectfully disagree, Dan, with your saying that it's heavy-handed. Darcy correctly pointed out, we have consistently said that if you're gonna expand this house within the 50 to 100, mitigation is required in the ratios as specified in the regulation, and that placement of that mitigation is a critical issue that this commission has always looked at. And I don't think it's being heavy-handed or unfair to these homeowners. I think to say that you should look very seriously at filling in that area where the swing is in that area is not going to in any way impede their use of that sandy area or the beach or the view. So I really am I'm very surprised with your comments, honestly, Dan. Just my thought.
Fair enough. If that's what you mean, like infilling an island and still letting them go around it and enjoy the beach, I think we're happy with that. That's fine.
Absolutely.
I had envisioned like the wall of China going across their frontage.
No, I don't.
We are not asking you to replace the beach. Okay,
Correct.
we're just asking to planting around that area that we're just talking about. And usually we require the applicants to plant a lot of shrubs and stuff like that in front of the water line, you know, like 5 foot across the property. Louise?
Well, I just was going to say, I don't view this as a punishment, that everybody who comes before us who has proposals similar to yours does this, and it's standard. So I agree with John completely.
I'm coming aboard there, as long as we don't cut it off and make it unusable. I'm very happy to put more down there and create a better buffer.
Can you just, so the commission can really understand where if they're going to ask me to be the one to review this, you point to where you're going to be putting, actually with the green, the picture you just had, point to where you're thinking about putting it, because you're talking about like doing an island, and I don't know whether you mean like planting around the shrubs that are already there. I need you to point on the picture so everybody understands what I'm going to be approving.
Yeah,
Or Darcy, would you prefer it comes back to the commission?
Unless we're happy on what he's going to point out right now.
Okay.
I'm busy.
No,
I don't have time to be sorting this out.
No, yeah, we're
So-
happy to do a brief continuance and just show it on a plan, but I was just envisioning where that existing bush is, just making a bigger island there and leaving.
And that
a
isn't
little
what the
path.
commission's saying. I believe they're talking about putting along where some of the grassy and those chairs there. So
Well,
I think you
it
should
is
take a
all-
continuance.
Right.
Well, Dan, I think we need a continuance so that you have a chance to look at the revised plan and prepare it, showing all your fire pit locations and where you want to move the mitigation planting area, so that we can see it and then approve it next time. So it makes Darcy's life a lot easier.
Yeah, but fair enough. But I think what I'm hearing is that we don't need to take up the beach, but just on the ocean, on the landward side of the beach, to infill a good amount of the lawn area that's existing there with plantings, rather than have them solely on the west side of the property.
Correct.
All right, I'll do that, and we'll take a look at it next time. 2 weeks would be plenty.
And show the fire pit, please.
Oh,
Yeah,
no
so
question.
fire
Yep,
pit.
we'll show that.
And I would ask you to look at the work limit line.
Yeah, we'll tighten that up. I got a note on that one. Yep.
Channel 18, any public comment on this one?
Seeing none.
None. Could I have a motions to continuance this applications to May the 28th?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Abadili,
Aye.
Foster,
Aye.
Hearn,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
Sampu,
Aye.
and Tangney, aye. It's unanimous.
Thank you. Let me do one more. I'm seeing Mark Burgess on sign in on Zoom. Let me do this one first. John and Diana Duffley proposed the replacing of the landscaping retaining wall at 92 Wild Goose Way, Centerville, as shown on Assessors Map 167, parcel 049. The applicants have requested for a continuance to June the 4th. Could I have a motion to approve the continuance to June the 4th?
No testimony.
Without testimony, sorry.
Abadili,
Aye.
Foster,
Aye.
Hearn,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
Tangney, yes, and Sampu.
Aye.
Thank you. We go back to the first one. Thomas F. Parsi proposed seasonal dock at 98 Hayes Road, Centerville, as shown on Assessors Map 210, parcel 097. Mark? Mark?
There we go. I'm unmuted now.
Yes.
Yes. For the record, Mark Burgess, Shorefront Consulting, representing Mr. Parsi, who is on the line also somewhere in Zoom land. Mr. Parsi has an extensive historical knowledge of this site, more than I can add. But anyway, and thank you for allowing me to be on out of order. Okay, so long and short, it's a seasonal pier aluminum dock, all seasonal on Lake Wequacket on the very south portion of it. Almost an embayment in itself. I think it only has about 2 small areas to navigate into and out of this area. The dock is situated near the middle of the lot. We have 3 feet of water at the end, a modest platform at the end, just one extra section to hang out on. And if anyone was at the site, there is a wooden float that I guess has been there for generations, but that is coming out for the, well, we're not trading it for the dock, but he won't need it, so that's coming out. There's a vegetated buffer along most of the site. The lawn is modest. It's not that well maintained, I think. And I've shown the access. The access could be around either side of the property, but you know how these work.
Can you show the plan?
Oh, yeah. Okay, this is my first attempt at doing this, so bear with me. I don't see where, let's see, where does it say share my, oh, here it is, share screen. All right. Where? I think I got it. Do you see it?
Yep. We're seeing it.
Oh my God, it works. Okay, can you see my cursor?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so the dock is here, nearly middle of the lot. The floating platform, whatever you want to call it, the float that's up on the ground, that's being removed. The square footage of the dock is within your bylaws. The design of the dock is seasonal aluminum sections, which I believe you guys favor. And we have 3 feet of water at the end of the dock, 50 foot out. I went out and staked it. I don't know if the stake is still there, but I guess for that, I'll open up any questions you might have.
Thank you, Mark. Question from the commissioner.
I have one, Tom.
Go ahead, Bill.
It's not really a question. Because it's a seasonal dock, I mean, I think it's probably permittable and okay. However, we have the owner here, Mr. Parsi, and I wondered if he was sitting through the last hearing that we just had. A lot of landowners don't realize that lawns are, when you take a lawn and you bring it all the way down right to the water's edge, you really contribute to essentially the pollution of the lake. And so in the interest of, public education, I'd just like to point out that I see that this property does have lawn right down to the edge of the lake. And when you have just lawn, you end up having sheet flow during, major runoff. And so that's why having bushes and higher grass filtering the nutrients, filtering the sediments is a good thing. So, it's not something that we can say, please, do this or else. But, I just think it's worth knowing that having a lawn right to the water's edge is not good for the pond. And I'm sure you want to be a good steward. So I just throw that out. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your time, everyone. I appreciate your comment. My background is biology, so I agree with you 100%. I don't know if you received the documentation that was sent to you with pictures dating back to 1940 when this lot was actually developed. Do you have those pictures that was sent out to you guys and documentation?
Yes, I do.
So it shows, I have the previous owner actually was 2 generations back was attorney from New Jersey. So I kept all the documented records and they were passed on to me. The lot was actually a sandy lot with 34 pine trees, which is only 1 left since then. There was a hurricane, I think it's called the Great Atlantic Hurricane in September of 1944 that knocked all those trees out. And I want to discuss with you what chemicals they used to get rid of the stumps because you will probably cringe. But they removed all the trees and in 1950, they put a lawn in there. We purchased the property in 2018. You can see from the MLS pictures that are still online, the property was perfectly manicured and was fertilized to my despise. Since we've taken over, we have not done anything to fertilize it, and it's still green, unfortunately, because all these years of chemicals they put on. We done stuff to add some of the stuff. The septic is updated. We changed the pitch of the roof so it doesn't go towards the water; it goes actually to the front of the house. I put a dry well with a filtration membrane so they won't have any runoff from the roof going up there, and I'm letting it go to go back to actual what it was, the sand. So if you look at the satellite pictures from 1985 versus 2022, you can start to see the sand coming through. So I don't disagree with you. I'm there 100%. The only other way for me to like address that is probably to put more sand and dump it in there to do that. But I don't know if there'd be create a shock to the environment to do that quickly or let it go on its own. But you know, some areas I can see the moss is starting to come through. I'm also part of the Lake Association, and I understand all that stuff, and I'm open to suggestion. But other than basically to remove the lawn that's left of it and replacing it with additional sand, I don't have like any other suggestion to do that. So it's not really my intent, or it's not something that I put in there, unfortunately. And it's you know, at some time before me, this was the norm, I guess, in 1950s, before even the Conservation Commission became an act or law in Massachusetts in 1957. So they had done all that stuff in there. If you have any suggestions for me, I'm open to what you want me to do. But other than me letting it go and, you know, letting sand come in and don't mess with it and trying to have it go back to natural, I don't have any other solutions.
Thank you.
I think that sounds great. I wouldn't put sand on it. I'd just let it, you know, if you could get some grasses or what have you that might just grow up along the edge, that might create a bit of a filter effect.
I think they've said 50% clover, 50% grass seed. I've done that in the front. I haven't tried anything on the back. I've tried to stay within that 100 feet. So I think my suggestion is to kind of let it go as is, but I guess it's been, you know, 56 years of chemicals on that site. That's keeping it too much device to still keep going.
Sometimes, if I may add, sometimes what you can do, Tom, is in the areas where you're not going to be accessing the water directly from the property, because that would be more ticks, you can just like maybe not mow a couple of feet right up to the beach area. Just let the grass grow, let it do what it's going to do. But certainly where your family's going to hang out and where they're going to walk through to get to the water, you don't want that, because then they'll get ticks.
I have no problem roping it off and have the family stay in one corner if you think that helps. But whatever I can help, I'm not trying to. Yeah.
For the board's information, we haven't gone to waterways yet. That'll be May 21st. I did present it to the Shellfish Committee. They had zero issues with it. And I don't expect that waterways will have an issue with it either, but just to be accurate, this project won't see them until May 21st.
May 21st. Okay. Tom, the homeowner, I suggest to naturalize that area. Don't cut it and give it a chance. Don't put any sand on it. The other thing I mentioned, the existing sand beach area that you have in there, if I remember right, Darcy, this is not permitted. So whatever we approve this plan does not including the beach.
With all due respect, if you look at the pictures from MLS that's on there, they have put raised vegetable gardens on top of that. So if I did a couple of test pits, so it's about, some areas is about 12 inches of loam they put in, some areas doesn't have as much, but you can even see it in 2018, they had put raised vegetable gardens, and where you saw the beach was flower gardens. So you can see it on the picture. So I actually removed that and removed the vegetable gardens that they had in there. So they have altered it as much as, unfortunately, as the way it's supposed to be. So what you're seeing, and also if you look to the left of the property, if you did the site visit, to the left side, there was another raised area where they had another set of gardens set up there right within a couple of feet of the water.
Okay.
I looked at some aerials. I don't know if I saw any vegetable garden things, but I was recommending that we have Ed look at the aerials, and because this, to me, with it being labeled as beach, it's an unpermitted beach, whether there were some kind of vegetable raised things or not. We need to have that label removed and that be reverted back to lawn or something. I don't know. But the original land is actually, if you look at those pictures, it's sand. It's sand.
Tom,
getting way out.
Excuse me. Let's let the discussions be, among the commissioner and staff first.
Okay,
John.
Yeah, Tom, the only thing before us is the approval of this dock.
Correct.
That's the only thing before us. Anything else would have to come, Darcy, you know, if Ed went out there for an enforcement order or looking at areas, that's totally separate from the conversation and certainly separate from any vote tonight. So we just, if the vote is to go with it, it is just on the application, which is the dock.
That's right.
That's why I want to specify that we are not including the beach area.
Thank you.
We're not approving anything else.
Correct.
Right.
Darcy, do we need the waterway?
No, they don't get notified for the lake one, so.
Okay.
Well,
Chandler,
Or wait, Mark, did this go to waterways?
it did. So when I asked them, they say yes, they want to look at both at freshwater
okay.
and saltwater projects, but nobody else thinks so. So I sent it to them. If you guys are fine with it, I'm fine with it. You know.
Darcy, doesn't this thing clearly comply with everything we've ever asked for?
Yeah.
So I'd be prepared to.
I don't remember ever holding.
Yeah.
Waiting for review from the waterways for the lake one. My only question is if the commission wanted to just have remove the label beach, saying it's not permitted.
Well, we're not voting on that.
Yeah, we're not voting on that. So it doesn't really matter whether the beach label is there or not at this point.
Okay.
Chandler, can end the public comment on this?
Seeing none.
None. Could I have a motion to approve this project as submitted?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Abadili.
Aye.
Foster.
Aye.
Hearn.
Aye.
Lee.
Aye.
Tangney, aye. And Sampu.
Aye.
It's unanimous.
Thank you. Good luck.
So
Thank you
thanks
so
very
much.
much.
The next NOI is Susan Shank, proposed construction of a deck and stairway and staircase down to Long Pond. The proposed structure will replace an existing multi-level deck and patio area and will be entirely within the footprint of an existing deck and patio area at 52 Harrison Road, Centerville, as shown on the Assessment Map 229 parcel 074. Dan?
Good evening, Chairman. Again, for the record, Dan Ogil, I'm a surveyor and civil engineer with Down Cape Engineering in Yarmouthport, and helping Susan out with permitting at 52 Harrison Road in Centerville. I'll share the screen so you can view it. What I'm looking at right now is a dimension sketch that's a little bit more carefully done. That was requested by staff. Dimensioning the site plans can sometimes be a little bit tough, so we blew it up and did a separate submission of exactly the precise dimensions. What this project relates to, and I'll pull up the overall site plan. Let me see, 23,345.
The sketch that you are seeing right now was sent out this afternoon by Kim.
Yes, so hopefully you've got that, but here it is if you don't, and you can see it's carefully dimensioned. And what we did was very precisely went over the exact size of the decks and patios that are there. And right now it's a bit of a trip hazard. There's 3 different levels, and it's not a particularly even surface. So we've got a deck here, some steps down, another deck, some steps down, a concrete patio, and then some gravel area on the western side. So multi-levels. We're bringing that right up to even it off with the upper deck. So it's all going to be at 34.0. And then we just simply have some steps down to a landing so that we can get at the height where the stairs work down towards Long Pond. So this is very tight to the resource area. It's an older home. You wouldn't normally, permit anything like this today. Everything's well within the 50-foot buffer. But there are, it's a stable retaining wall that's holding back the bank. And it's been there for many years. So we put a nice tight work limit line on it, and we're working right within the existing footprint. You can see our mitigation calculations show the hardscape is existing 412 and proposed 412. So between the patio and the deck, they add up to 412, and then that's what we're putting back as the 412. We would be replacing the steps here, the bottom riser to be concrete or stone down towards the water level, a non-leaching substance at the bottom. But now we've gone through with the narrative about the inland bank that was flagged and protecting the resource areas of the work limit line. But again, pretty straightforward because it's exactly the same footprint as what's there, just leveling it off so that it's less of a trip hazard. Be glad to answer any questions you have on this one.
Thank you, Dan. Question from the commissioner, Louise.
At the west end of the area of the deck, it says gravel. Is that going to stay gravel?
With your permission, yes, would be willing to put lawn there, but gravel's fairly inert, so the choice of the commission, whatever you would like.
Thank you.
Angela.
Yeah, just for clarification, the gravel area, I did walk, this is where it's ivy's already overgrown the gravel. Is that what you're talking about?
I'd have to review the pictures, but you're very likely correct. It's the western end of the property, right up against the old 20-foot way, the unconstructed way there.
Right, so ivy has come up. You can't even see the gravel. It looks like ivy's overgrown it, and then there's concrete. So I didn't know, you're replacing all that or taking it out? I'm still not clear on your answer.
So at the end on the gravel, the question was where those stairs land, what would we do with that area? We're perfectly willing to leave it. I don't know if it's invasive English ivy or not. I didn't study it, but if we would like to leave it there, we'll leave it there. If you'd like something else, we could put it there. We're ambivalent on that. If it's stabilized and you kind of like what it looks like, I think honestly probably leaving the patio in place underneath the deck is reasonable. The deck will be raised up a few feet over it, and it'll be a nice stable surface down below without any erosion potential. So probably just leaving everything the way it is and building a higher deck would be the preferred alternative.
Okay, thank you.
Any other question from the commissioner? Seeing none. 10:18. Any public comment on this one?
Seeing none.
None.
Tom, have we heard from NHESP? I have in my notes that we expected to hear from them and hadn't.
Well,
We have not heard from them.
it should be exempt because we're working within an existing disturbed area, deck area. But if you'd like to wait until you hear from them, we understand.
I think we should wait. If we do this as a continuous to 28, would that be okay? Just waiting for the NHSP letter, just to be sure.
Yes, I'll be there that night in case there's questions, so that would be fine.
This is like I don't know what the rest of the agenda looks like for the 28th, but this is the 5th continuance we've got.
Yeah.
Well, that one will probably be no testimony, so it's kind of
it should be very quick though. Darcy, you were saying something? You want to say something?
Sorry. So can we just clarify before you? Well, I guess you're not going to be making a motion unless you're saying you're going to approve it subject to the NHESP. But whatever way you're going with the proposed plan, whether he wants to leave the patio or the gravel area with the ivy, we should have it written on the plan.
My sense, Darcy, is better left undisturbed.
Yeah.
In there, so
just clarify on the proposed, because the way it's drawn now, it looks like
It's
the
not
gravel
labeled.
is there, and now the gravel's not going to be there, whether there's ivy or not. So just make
Right.
it it should be revised to exactly what the commission is allowing.
That sounds fine. I'll make that notation on the plan.
Thanks.
Tom, should we approve this, except subject to the letter, or just continue it?
Well, let's approve it with the revised plan and then subject to the NHSP letter, because otherwise I don't want to pile up too much on the 28th.
Yeah, that's when you're not going to be here.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. I'd make a motion to approve this subject to a receipt of the revised plan and continue it only for awaiting the letter.
I second it.
Roll call.
Abadili,
Aye.
Foster,
Aye.
Hearn,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
Tangni, aye, and Sampu.
Aye.
It's unanimous.
Thank you. The last NOI is Sean Sweeney, proposed addition to the existing single-family dwelling with new driveway at 281 Ocean Street, Hyannis, as shown on the Assessors Map 325, parcel 022. Dan?
Good evening. For the record, Dan Ojala, Downkeep Engineering. I'm a land surveyor and civil engineer and helping Sean Sweeney out with a redevelopment of his property here at 281 Ocean Street in Hyannis. The resource areas which affect this lot are a flood zone. There's an AE 11 that sneaks in around the property. So we're when we rebuild, we're going to do all new flood zone compliant structures. They'll have smart vents to let the water in and out, and flood resistant construction up to elevation 12, which is a foot above the base flood elevation. That's the current FEMA code. Also affecting the lot, and it's across the street from a paved driveway that goes to the Hidden Harbor condominium. There is a small bordering vegetated wetland. We had Paul Shea of Independent Environmental write up the report and delineate that wetland. The sheet should be in the file. There's not much we can do on this buffer. I would say my guys wanted to bring it in as a mitigation constrained site because it's only about 10,000 feet. And, there's a house, there's a garage that's closer. There's a fence on the lot line. It's paved, 22-foot pavement. And then there's a little strip and then the wetland. But all that belongs to the condominium. So we can't really do any mitigation there. But I says, no, I think this commission's going to want to see as much mitigation as we can squeeze in here, even though it's on the other side of a driveway and a fence from the wetland. I think it has some value, and I know you guys dislike doing that mitigation constrained unless there's a really good reason to do it. So where we could put some plantings in, we did. If you would like to take some payment in lieu of the balance, we could certainly do that if you want to consider it mitigation constrained. I think a picture on this one is valuable. If you look in the back of the NOI, you can view some of these pictures. But the 50-foot buffer goes roughly to the back of this, or it goes through the middle of this garage. So I know I'm switching back and forth here, but the third trash can in is the 50-foot buffer. Where it's there's on the other side of the fence there's a paved driveway. So here's the picture of that. So we can't really plant anything on this side of the driveway, but where we can is we're pulling up some gravel on this side, and we're putting the new work almost out of the 50. It's extremely close to being out of the 50. And so we feel that it's a big improvement over what's there now, in that there is a backstop to your mitigation requirements, wherein if you fully revegetate the 50-foot buffer, then you don't have to do anything more. Here, we just like a little bit of room to squeak around. Again, the garage is much closer. It's only 40 feet away. We're going to 47 and a half. So just within an inkling of that 50. But if we could push the house to the north, we absolutely would. But as you can see here, we're already into the 10-foot setback a little bit. And we are, for zoning purposes, need, some light and air and a setback on that right side. And the footprint is as tight as he feels he can make it. The site is on town sewer, so it's treading very lightly on the environment. That's a positive that you don't have on every site. There's a big wide driveway. We're bringing in 122 square foot of wildflower mix, some pasture rose, arrowwoods, and sweet ferns to enhance the outer portion of the buffer to make it as good as we can. So we're only lacking a little bit, and we're pulling that gravel out. And there's a little bit of a paved drive outside of the 50. So hopefully it's reasonable. Again, if we could do some more mitigation down here, we would, but it's not our property and it would be a hardship to get, it's like herding cats to get a condominium, all the owners to do anything. So if we can leave it at this, we sure would appreciate it. I'd be glad to answer any questions if you do have them. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Louise?
I agree with you that the fact that there is a driveway right up against the fence on the other side makes things a little different with respect to the, the closeness to the BVW. And I also understand that you want to be able to walk around the garage in order to maintain it. However, it seems to me that you could put a few more plantings on the south side of the driveway going out to the road, and you would still not be blocked from getting access around the garage. There's space between the driveway and the fence, right? You could get a few more things in there. And
yeah, we could extend a few more shrubs up. That would probably look fine. And
that might be a good thing to do.
Infill that area.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it'd be a little bit outside the 50, but it would at least add to that would look nice. Yeah, I'd be happy to do that.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Angela?
Yeah, I was wondering, could you engineer it out of the 50? Can you take off a foot or two so we don't have any of that new 2-car garage you're asking for in the 50 at all? Can't that be done?
Well, we asked, we reminded him that you guys really don't like anything within the 50. And he says, well, my existing garage is already well into the 50. I says, well, they'll still ask. He says, I really, if we can, it's any way to do this, the way that it lays out, he's got a foyer there with just the right amount for a bathroom. And he's got just a 2-car garage with a little bit of room on the sides. And everything else crushes him into where he's at. So he asked as nicely as he can if we could leave it just that very small incursion. Again, it's a unique site. We've got a 23-foot wide driveway, proud of us towards the wetland, and we just really appreciate being able to leave it at the footprint. He's got it all designed up, and he was hoping to just slide it to the north, but we just can't do that with the setbacks and to go back and redo everything. We're just very hopeful to leave it where it is, and I'd leave it at that.
There is a house layout sketch that was sent out this afternoon for your information. Bill?
Is there some reason why you can't add mitigation plantings in the 50 to 100 on the west side? You have a very large expansion of the land hardscape on the 50 to 100. Mitigation formula says 1909 square feet, and you're providing 607. And I don't understand why you can't just simply come into the 50 to 100 along that west side. Right. So you absolutely could. You're correct. But what I like to look at with that is just a general fairness principle on it, that
On any other site where we had an undisturbed buffer, we'd simply need to revegetate the 50-foot buffer and then we're done. There's a backstop to the regulation where you don't have to do that much. We could certainly do a few more plants along the back, but again, it's through no fault of ours that someone has developed the 50-foot buffer. And you normally just say, okay, revegetate the 50 in its entirety and you're done. Then, you can do what you want to do outside of that. It's if you read your regulation, it's once you fill up that 50, then that's all you have to do. So I was hoping that we had filled it up enough. But to the earlier point that we can put some outside of the 50 here along the driveway and a few more shrubs in the back, I think we'd be happy to do that. And then we could certainly say that the equivalent of all the 50 that's on our property has been filled up. So maybe that would be one way to do it and kind of a win-win.
John?
Yeah, thank you, Tom. It's interesting. I come at this somewhat different. I looked at that. I looked at where the buffer is. I looked at the driveway, walked down that a little bit. I think the plan you propose, especially with the little added trees, is really, from an environmental point of view, I can't see where this expansion of the house is going to do in any way endanger that 50. I mean, if you got a long distance, you got a paved driveway, you've got a heavily buffered zone on the other side, left side of that driveway, looking at it. So with the added trees that Dan's offered, I'm absolutely okay with this. I just don't see a negative environmental impact, which is the criteria that we should be using under the law. So that's where I am, at least.
Thank you, John. Darcy, do you have any comment in terms of the proposed mitigations planting size?
No, I'm no comments on this one. Thank you.
Okay. So what I'm hearing is that we want some mitigations along the driveway. Give yourself some walk around that garage there and fill that area up. I think that would be fine if I'm hearing right.
Yeah, and we can add 3 more shrubs in the back too to just fatten out that buffer and round off the corner and behind where the existing garage is in this area. And I think between that and infilling that, I think, based on what I'm hearing, I think everybody will be somewhat satisfied.
Okay. Channel 18, any public comment on this?
Seeing none.
None. Could I have a motion to approve this project subject to receipt of a revised plan showing the additional mitigation area next to the driveway and a few more planting at the back?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Abadili,
Aye.
Foster,
Aye.
Hearn,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
Tangney, aye, and Sampu.
Aye.
It's unanimous.
Thank you.
Really appreciate
Good luck,
your
Dan.
consideration. Thank you.
We have one easy certificate of compliance. Charles A. Shivas, trustee, SE3-5910. Could I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Abadili,
Aye.
Foster,
Aye.
Hearn,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
Tangney, aye, and Sampu.
Aye.
That's unanimous.
Our next meeting is 6:30 on May 28th. Could I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Abadili,
Aye.
Foster,
Aye.
Hearn,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
Tangney, aye, and Sampu.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned at 8 p.m.
Good night, all.